Welcome to Insider Sports Access. I'm Brendan Connelly, and I'm joined today by Kevin Tocci. Kevin, how are you doing?
Pretty good, sir. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Second time we've done this together.
In the past couple of months, yeah. But you know what? Let's get that old comfortable feeling.
It does. It really does. Working with somebody you know for a long time, it really does help. But obviously, let's get right into it with the sports. Biggest news lines from today: the Patriots, the Red Sox. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on in the next few weeks. Biggest news line, of course, Tom Brady started the season. He's going to be out for 4 weeks. Jimmy G is going to be filling in. How do you feel about this going forward?
Well, knowing that there's going to be a large image of TB12 is it the north end? It's in the lighthouse. The lighthouse. Knowing that that's going to be kind of watching over them for 3 of the 4 games, I'm okay with it.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, going into it, I feel a little bit nervous for Jimmy. I mean, it seemed like over the preseason that Brady wanted to make it known that this was his team. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you have to realize how did Tom Brady come into, being a player in the NFL? I mean, basically, Drew Bledsoe went down to injury, never to regain his status as the number 1 QB. And the last thing you want to do is give an understudy a couple of moments to shine and cause any kind of controversy. And if anybody remembers the 2001-2002 season, that, Tom came in winning every game, including the Patriots were unbeatable from the time that Tom was under center that first season. Well, again, he was a sophomore. It was his second year in the league because he basically was sitting for the first year. But that second year of Tom's career was started against Mo Lewis. Thank you, Mo. Knocking Drew Bledsoe out of the game. In comes a young Tom Brady, a fresh-faced kid who was able to lead the team. Now, there was a point in time during the playoffs that we did see Drew back because of an ankle issue that Tom had and helped the Patriots eventually win the Super Bowl. We know all that went in with that. But the Patriots ended up trading Tom off to Buffalo because they didn't need him. They had their quarterback of the future. And there are some of those who are out there saying to themselves, that could this be, could be history be repeating itself? I don't know.
Well, that brings us to another point. A couple years back, the NFL did a film on Tom Brady with him being the 199th pick, and he says, you don't want anyone to take your job. And he always reverts back to his hyper-competitive state. And a couple years back, the Patriots took Jimmy Garoppolo with a second-round pick, not a late-round pick, a second-round pick, because it seemed like his play was starting to deteriorate slightly. And then, of course, Brady comes back and plays like a man on a mission. But going forward, will we see Jimmy Garoppolo succeed in the first 4 weeks of the NFL season?
I don't know, because one of the arguments has long been is that Tom is a system quarterback, that he is a product of the system. And the documentary you talk about is the Brady 6 documentary, when you had 6 other quarterbacks that were chosen prior to Tom Brady. Look where they are in stark contrast to where Tom Brady, who is a future Hall of Fame quarterback. So it's interesting that you bring that up and you talk about Jimmy G and how will he succeed. And Tom is driven because he doesn't want somebody to take his spot. Again, it's going to be what ends up it ends up how things play out and how well he does. If the Patriots go 4-0 to start, I think it's going to be a matter of how they go 4-0. Is it that Jimmy Garoppolo is leading them and is throwing for 300 yards, 4 touchdowns? Well, then you have a controversy on your hands.
Which would be very interesting, to say the least. Prior to the NFL season this year, the Patriots hung up a banner of Tom Brady on the Lighthouse, and people are starting to nickname it Brady's Lighthouse. What do you think that affects Garoppolo in any way, shape, or form mentally?
No, I don't think it ever bothered Jason Varitek when he would hit one around the Carlton Fisk pole. So I don't see it. I don't think it'll bother Jimmy. And I think, I think that Jimmy will do fine. Again, this isn't like it's tennis where you are the only person that's culpable for the play that you do on your court. It's a 53-man team, and there are different facets to the game of football, and you could do well on two facets and be dreadful in one and still win or lose the game depending on one or two plays.
Who do you consider to be one of the top opponents Jimmy Garoppolo is going to face this upcoming year?
I think it's going to be the first game right out of the gate. You face some Bruce Arians. Arizona has been formidable for the past couple of seasons. You look at that NFL West division, and
stacked.
It can be stacked. I mean, Seattle had its time at the top of the division. San Francisco
has fallen off pretty quickly. But
it's fallen off, but you know what? Colin Kaepernick was, he was the thing for a couple of years. And then Arizona. Now, will we see St. Louis, seeing that they got a new kid under center?
And they also have a superstar running back in Todd Gurley coming up.
Todd Gurley is fantastic. I mean, you got a lot of intangibles there. And seeing that they're playing their first year in Los Angeles, just to correct myself, that they've gone from being in St. Louis to now they are once again the LA Rams. So I think that's the game. The Cardinals game, where you got a great defense. You got a guy like you got a pocket quarterback like Carson Palmer, who he can sling the ball. A decent running game. You get some great running backs for Arizona. I think that'll be the toughest game.
And do you see them potentially losing any games to one of their East rivals?
Ooh. Well, if the Ryan brothers have anything to say with it, the Ryan twins have anything to say about it. They're hoping,
group.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have gone out and drafted a Gronkowski if they didn't feel that that they were ready this year for the Patriots.
That's going to be an interesting part of the season, is just seeing these Bills games coming up. They're going to have two of them this year. And every week the Patriots take on the Bills, it always seems like the Ryans, or I should say Rex Ryan the past years, but now it's going to be the Ryans do something interesting.
Well, I would ask this. It takes two Mannings to equal as many Super Bowl wins as the one that Tom Brady has. Will you need two Ryans to be able to at least defeat once in a season the New England Patriots?
Who do you see as a team to watch this year? Maybe a dark horse that nobody else is expecting.
Are you talking about in the AFC, or are you talking about in the entire?
General.
I gotta say, Jacksonville, the Jaguars have put a lot of time and energy in. And if Andrew Luck comes back to health, that AFC South division could be an interesting watch. You got Houston with a new QB.
Brock Osweiler, baby.
Osweiler, they gave him the money.
$72 million for a guy who played 6 games or so.
But is he worth it?
Nobody knows. But that's the key with the NFL nowadays, is the quarterback is so important. People will throw.
But hold on. If it's so important, let me ask you this. If it's so important, okay, if you give me the stats of the quarterback, now, hold on now. Who won most valuable player in this past Super Bowl?
Von Miller.
Okay. And who was runner-up, as far as who would you say was the runner-up to it? Was besides Von Miller?
Well, I mean,
would you normally who normally gets that? If it isn't a defensive player, who normally would get the most valuable player?
I see where you're going. Yeah, the quarterback.
The quarterback. And you know what? When you look at the Denver Broncos, their starting quarterback, what were his stats?
They were pretty poor.
They were poor. He had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions.
I heard it was actually the 7th worst overall performance by a Super Bowl quarterback in history across all 100 teams. All 100, not just the winning teams.
Not only did the Denver Broncos prove that you do not need a top-flight quarterback, I believe the Baltimore Ravens, when they won their first Super Bowl, had a meh kind of a quarterback back then. I mean, it was their defense, their stellar defense, led by Ray Lewis.
Yep.
Ray
Lewis.
Yes.
But okay, so taking it back to the.
So if I was to answer your question, I like the Jaguars as far as in the AFC. As far as the NFC, that's going to be tough. I may go with the LA Rams just for the heck of it.
Just starting anew in a new city.
Starting anew.
The Rams are back in LA.
They're back.
They're back.
They're back.
But what I was originally trying to say about the quarterback play thing was people are looking for the quarterback. They're searching, and they'll do anything to find that quarterback. They will throw money at anything that they believe might be the next big thing. Just my point right there.
I think baseball teams do it too. New York Mets are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and how's that worked out the past few years for them?
Well, I'm talking about the signing of one Tim Tebow.
That did happen.
Yeah. So I'm just saying is that, desperate times call for desperate measures. And here's my biggest fear right now, and you're talking about this. It's not. I think it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening in the next year or two in regards to the Patriots, Jimmy G, and Tom Brady. I'm kind of hoping that we're in a situation where it's like the Green Bay Packers when they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, or the 49ers when they went from Joe Montana to
Steve Young.
Well,
that would be obviously the best case scenario is the Patriots having a quarterback controversy. Brady retires and they get the next big thing, or they have a quarterback controversy. Brady stays and they trade Garoppolo for something of value.
What would you rather do? Well, let me ask you this: Would you rather? I know that Tom has taken you to the promised land. He's a driven guy, and I'm not advocating for this. So anybody out there, no hate mail. But yeah, I think you have to carefully weigh it. You have to find a way. I would try to keep both, and find a way to say, Jimmy, your time will come, and you have shown us a few things. But let's let Tom play out his contract. He's got a couple of years left. And then hopefully you can persuade Tom, listen, it might be time. But if Tom is still, look at Tom last year, the past couple of years. Tom Brady he hasn't looked his age, but you know what? Peyton Manning didn't look his age until last year, and it was sudden.
Oh, yeah. The physical breakdown, it happens.
It happens.
But I don't know. In terms of that, my opinion is if Brady continues to play like the way he's playing right now, because Peyton Manning had that deluge of a few years, and then he came back, kind of similar to what Brady did, but Brady's been playing better than what Peyton was. If he continues to do this for, let's say, 3-4 years, that's when it gets tough. But if something similar happens to Brady that happened to Peyton Manning, then I think it's time to move on.
But do you want to spend the next 5 or 6 years trying to find a quarterback? Or would you rather have the guy in-house ready to take over the reins when that time comes? I would rather have the guy in-house and not be like some of the teams that we've seen. We saw during the preseason, just past couple of weeks, Sam Bradford on his third team. He being traded to the Minnesota Vikings. You know what I mean? He was.
I feel bad for Teddy Bridgewater.
Why?
Injury.
Yeah.
Just tough because he was a young talent and he's coming up in the system. He was doing really well, and then just a non-contact injury in practice. Tough way to go out.
Yeah.
But as for what I was about to say was we'll learn the next couple weeks how Garoppolo is. We'll figure out whether he is or is at least potentially the next big thing.
All he has to do is manage, is to be a manager. That the important things for Jimmy when he goes out there, it's common sense things. It's not rocket science. He has to go out there, not throw the ball to the other team, not cough up the ball. You know what I mean? And if it's not there, make sure you throw it beyond the line of scrimmage, and make sure that you're out of the pocket. And again, you don't want to hurt your team. If it's not there, don't force it. And again, manage the game. Don't be contributing to the other team's takeaways.
There we go. We'll learn in the next couple weeks.
We will.
How the Patriots will be standing. Let's transition to the Red Sox. Baseball is great again. We finally have summer and fall baseball. After the past few years where it's been rough, the Red Sox are back and they are in first place.
And you know what's even better? You're missing probably the second headline. is that the Boston Red Sox potentially have, and I know this is postseason stuff, they have a Cy Young candidate on their staff.
I think they actually might have. Well, they did for a while. They did.
No. Hold on. Rick Porcello.
Surprise.
Surprise. This guy who sucked last year. 19-3, or he has actually 19 wins at this particular time, leading the majors as far as wins go. And you have a potential MVP candidate in a guy.
Mookie Betts.
That's right. You know what? I know it's been many years. It's been 30 years since we hated the name Mookie. But there is a young man who's given us a reason to like the name Mookie, and that is Mookie Betts, who is, this is a kid who was, if I'm correct, when he was in the Sox farm system, started as a second baseman. They converted him and said, hey, listen, we need an outfielder. This was right around the time when Jacoby Ellsbury decided that, well, maybe I want to put on the pinstripes and earn all kinds of money and be on a team that, And so, the idea was just we gotta do something with our outfield.
And Mookie's been looking like a potential Gold Glove candidate.
Gold Glove candidate, and he's in the MVP conversation. I mean, the guy's got 30 home runs. He's got 100 RBI, and I haven't checked the stats lately, but I want to say that he's stolen 20 bags or somewhere near there.
Well, a recent survey came out for the media market of Boston, and who would you say the favorite player of the Red Sox is?
I think most pink hats would say David Ortiz.
Wrong. It was Mookie Betts in the Boston market.
The pink hats, or as far as the survey?
The media market survey.
Okay. Now, the key word I said was pink hats.
There you go.
I didn't say the media because the pink hats love, like when you had Johnny Damon here.
Yeah.
Okay? The pink hats loved him. And that's the, not the hardcore fans, but the fans who kind of go and it's like, I got a shirt. It's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying that's the nickname if you listen to sports talk radio. Pink hats.
Well, going forward, if the Sox do in fact make the playoffs, do you see their pitching rotation looking well right now? It looks like they've been improving as the season went along. They hired a new pitching assistant, Brian Bannister, and ever since, it seems like they've had a jolt of energy injected into them. Would you say so? Yeah,
but the biggest problem isn't. I don't think it's the starting pitching.
The bullpen?
It's the guys who are coming out in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning who you have a lead, and they lose it. That's the problem, is your bullpen. Now, you've had some good play. Craig Kimbrell's okay, but
it seems like whenever they get into a non-save situation, whether it's a tie game or whether it's they're winning by 7 or losing by a couple, he just can't do it unless it's like the game's on the line.
Well, you got Koji Uehara, who is back, and he over the past week actually had his first outing back in the number 19 jersey, and I think that could be a boost. That could help.
I mean, it seems like Junichi Tozawa has been struggling mightily. Do you think the Red Sox should, say, put Ziegler in his place?
No, I think what it is, I mean, you think about it. You're not like you're a starting pitcher when you come out. You have 30 to 35 starts that you come out, you take the mound, you do it every 5 days. You talk about these are guys who are coming out. They could come out 3 days in a row to give you an inning or two. And there's a lot of wear and tear. I personally think there's a lot of wear and tear. He's given a lot of innings, and he's given a lot of quality innings. And I think after a while, it's just part of the wear and tear. That it maybe he doesn't have as much zip on the fastball, or maybe it just his breaking ball isn't breaking as well as it has in the past. I just think that right now he might need a little bit of rest, and maybe with a little rest that it'll restore that zip.
Well, one pitcher who has been emerging, even though he has been a big candidate in the past for potential Cy Youngs, is David Price. David Price, at the beginning of the year, people were making fun of this guy's dog because he was struggling so hard. And now he's won a couple games in the past few weeks and looks like he's back on track. Do you think he could be a key to this rotation going forward?
Well, for $217 million in 7 years, he better be. I mean, and that's the thing is he's in a market. It's not like he's at Tampa Bay. He's not playing for Tampa Bay where, that market, they're just happy if they're in the conversation. You're talking about a hardcore fan base that, if you ain't living up to, you'll hear it on the way, You'll
hear it on the way to work.
On the way to work, you'll read it in the papers. It's one of those things that if you are thin-skinned, it'll affect your performance. He has been doing a fantastic job, and I think the Sox need it. Has he had the quality starts that we would expect? I think so. I really do, and I think that he has done. It's almost, I think a lot of times when you bring somebody in as a free agent, it takes them a year or two to really get acclimated. Not everybody can, it isn't like an Andrew Benintendi who comes in and the kid's hitting the cover off the ball before he gets injured. No, you're talking about sometimes it takes people. Rick Porcello, look at last year, the first 6 or 7 months, he struggled. It wasn't until we were kind of in garbage time for the Sox. They were at the bottom of the division.
And nobody was watching anymore.
Nobody was watching, but he was able to kind of get an idea as to what was going on with his pitches, and he came back. And so Porcello has been doing this since the end of last year. I just think that David Price is starting to come into his own at the right time.
I think Porcello has been helped by David Price. Price being in the limelight as the leader of the staff, I think it's taken a lot of pressure off of Porcello, and he has been doing incredible this year. The Sox are going to need it going forward.
The only thing that bums me out is that a bad judgment call by the manager, John Farrell, has led to you losing out your number 3 guy, and Stephen Wright, the kid the knuckleballer who has, if it wasn't for him sliding into, doing a little base running and hurting himself, you'd have, it'd be nice to see those 3, boom, boom, boom. And even Clay Buchholz has surprised a little bit. He's been doing the mop-up duty and doing long duty in the pen. And he had a nice start a week ago during that long road trip and spun a gem. It's just sometimes he'll throw a pitch at the wrong time and it sails over the fence.
I know. Unfortunately, that's what you get with Buchholz. It seems like whenever Buchholz starts to win you over, something goes wrong.
Now, hold on now. I'm going to give this guy credit. Make sure you save the spot in the tape if you're watching
on the record.
At home. It's on the record right now. Usually right around this time, Clay's injured for some reason. If anything, he has shown that, he was durable this year. He may have a losing record, but he didn't, too many times over the past 5 years where he's, he has a nice start, and then you lose him in, mid-July, and he's gone until late September. At least we've gotten, this Red Sox team has gotten something out of him.
I know. I call it the Buchholz trap. Buchholz, he'll pitch really well for a portion of the year.
Tease.
Yeah, and then he gets hurt. And then when he's not pitching well, he's fine. But going forward, I think Clay Buchholz, if he continues to pitch like this, it'll help them because the Red Sox are in a 4-way race for first place in the AL East.
Yeah, it's interesting, and seeing that you have all these. I mean, and the Yankees had actually traded off a lot of their key parts.
They got rid of all their dead weight. All their old parts that weren't working, and then they called up these young guys, and they're hitting the cover off the ball.
I mean, and they traded bullpen guys. I mean,
and they have the best bullpen in baseball potentially.
They had Chapman, traded him to the Cubs. They had who's the kid that they had who was hitting for them?
Who was hitting for them?
Yeah. He was with St. Louis the year before. I forget his name. He was an older guy too. It doesn't matter. He's with Texas now. It'll come to be when we're done.
Oh, McCann?
No. McCann's been sitting now. They've sat him. Mm-hmm. No. It was I forget who it was. It's not important. But they've traded off a lot of players.
They called up a lot of good kids, too, like Sanchez. This guy, Sanchez, has been tearing the cover off the ball for the Yankees. So it's great to have the Yankees back in the conversation because the rivalry is a lot better with them in the mix. And mid-year, it looked like they were in the cellar and they were done.
Right.
They played their way back into contention because they have nothing to lose. And obviously, you have to worry about the Blue Jays and you have to worry about the Orioles. Yeah. Those teams, the Red Sox are going to be doing nothing but playing these teams down the stretch. How do you see them performing against these teams?
It's going to be tough. I mean, I want to say again that they just recently were out on a road trip. They did well. It seems as though they get themselves into position. The problem is, if you look at the Sox, is that when it comes to like one-run games, they got a bad record. They've struggled with one-run games this year, and that's going to be key if they're going to be able to, pull it out. I remember back, you remember back a couple of years ago in 2013 when they would be down and they got to a point in the season where you're like, they'd be down, 3, 4, 5 runs. You're like,
they'll come back.
They'll come back and win, and they did. And they did. And that's the one thing you have to worry about is that will they be able to be able to win those close games and close it out, and if they get a lead, keep it, and hopefully the bullpen doesn't give that up.
That is true. One of the big problems they've had all year is playing in these close games. The classic example came just recently when Eduardo Rodriguez pitched a no-hitter into the eighth inning. And then he lost it on a call that was overturned. And then you go to the ninth. They bring
close call at first base. That's let's be clear in case folks missed it. And then you had a Chris Davis, Chris with a K, basically slapped a double to left field, and that was it. That's all they wrote.
But a rough error by Buchholz in the outfield cost them the game, and it was a 1-0 game against the Oakland A's. And the Oakland A's are a pretty poor team.
Yeah.
So it's pretty classic Red Sox, if you ask me about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So we're going down the final stretch of the season. I personally think the Red Sox, my prediction is they'll squeak in, whether it's via the wild card or if they win the division. I'm leaning towards something potentially going wrong occasionally down the stretch, and they'll end up as one of the wild card teams. If you were going to send a pitcher out for a one-game wild card, who would it be? Would you send out Porcello? Would you send out Price?
I think you can't go wrong with either one of those. Both of those guys have proven this year that they're capable. They're capable, and if for some reason they lose a lead, or if they give up a run or two, that they're able to basically snap back and be able to get consecutive batters out. I mean, that's the whole thing. Is I think that's been kind of an issue with Clay Buchholz this year. Is that when he gets into trouble, he doesn't know how to right the ship and be able to button down and take set down the next couple of batters. He just comes apart at the seams.
Well, personally, it depends if they're home or away. If they're away, I'm leaning a little bit more towards Price. If they're at home, Porcello has been incredible at home.
Yeah, he's almost done. Is he still undefeated?
I
think he might be, yeah.
I don't have the stats in front of me. We'll have to check.
Yeah, we have no stats in front of us, folks. Look at it. All from right here.
Anyway, so that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this week on Insider Sports Access. Kevin, where can people find you online?
It's as easy as finding me on Twitter at Kevin Tocci, Tocci. It's that easy, sir.
And you can find me at Bcon63. That's BCONN63. Tune in any day of the week. You can get me on Twitter.
Right.
So
how do you want to wrap this up?
Well, it's been a great week, guys. Tune in next time on Insider Sports Access. I'm Brendan Connelly, and we'll see you next time.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who do something, the people who take action, are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.